hello. Happy Friday. Today is going to be a great session around creating a gaming app. I'm your host, Elizé, and this is your XD challenge for the day. Let's take a look at my screen real quick. You can see that I've included this design file, and this is located in the description below in the resources. So you can see here we are creating a gaming app, and the challenge prompt is to use audio playback to create some screens for a gaming app for children. I thought that adding a kids element is interesting. I've never designed an actual product for kids, so this was kind of a fun project for me. And I included some of the best practices that I've found through my research. And we're gonna talk a little bit more deeper into this as we go along. All right. Hello, Rob. Hello, Wade. Hey, Stroofy. Good to see you guys in the chat. So let's take a look at the design I created. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I had a lot of fun messing around with the audio playback. I actually used my voice to create some of these sound effects here. So we are going to listen to this as I share my kids app. Now, just to explain a little bit what's happening here, this is a find a friend app. So it's an animal app where you are going to find this elephant's friend, which we're gonna say is the elephant. Although, you know, any animal could be the elephant's friend, but most likely it's another elephant. So that's what this app is. And I'm gonna play it for you, and I'm gonna just move my microphone so you can hear the sound effects a little bit better.
You have 15 seconds to find my friend. Yay, you got it.
Okay. It was like a lot of work to create this, and it's like 2 seconds worth of a prototype. But you could maybe, if you could hear my voice, you can see kind of a little bit of the playfulness that I wanted to add for this kids app. So first things first, I want to talk to you a little bit about my process. I decided that I wanted to go for a target age group between 6 to 8 years old. So over here, my best practice number one for creating a kids app is to target a specific age range with your product. Over here, I'm just gonna show you, there's this article I found that was super great by UX Studio team, and I'm gonna leave this in the comments and I'll drop it into the chat right now. And this gives you some best practices along with kind of what to think about for different age groups. I decided to go for 6 to 8 years old. So it says here, like, children do know how to read, but we can't rely on copy. And they have a very limited vocabulary. There's also this big thing right here, which is kids want feedback whenever they do something. So it's interesting because, I mean, it's the same kind of experience. We always want to have a fast type of feedback on our products, but especially for kids because their attention wanes, right? So that's what I decided to begin with. The other thing here for best practices is that they need large pictures and instant visual and audio feedback. So this is going to be really beneficial that we're talking about how to incorporate audio into XD today. So when I first began, I started with this. If you're like, what is happening here? This is my really ugly sketch. I always start with a very quick sketch of like, what is my design gonna look like? And I knew I wanted to have really large cards on my screen. And I knew I wanted to do things with animals. I had decided I wanted to focus on endangered animals and giving kids exposure to endangered animals. And I thought this could be a fun way of exposing them to that. And you could decide what works for you. I wanted my kids app to be more educational. Feel free to have free reign and look at some of the popular apps that kids are using for inspiration. Like, is it just for fun? Is it more educational? What gets you excited? This got me excited. Okay, so I created my cards here, and then from there I was researching kids apps, just trying to get some inspiration, and I noticed that it's very, very colorful. And when I did some research behind this, There's a reason why kids like colorful apps. They are attracted to bright colors. And so we actually have a little bit more leeway as designers to play around with multiple colors and be more bright and intensive than we might normally would. So I thought, ooh, that's kind of fun, right? Because you feel limited sometimes when we're designing. And so it's like kind of free range with the colors. Then from there, I started to design my iPad experience. And I wanted to just quickly show you my evolution because I wanted to show that it's not like I design and I'm suddenly here like, wow, I made a really cute design. No, I start like here. This is me. Like, oh, okay, is this cute? Like, no, it's not really that cute. And I get inspiration. So here I found inspiration from this app and I really liked this card layout. So I applied it here. So I was like, let's play around with this. And I was like, still not loving it. So then I found another piece of inspo here where I saw that in the card element, they have kind of a little bit of a see-through as to what's happening in the image. So I decided to do something like that. I'm like, okay, this is more colorful, sure. Now, what I want to show you here is if you are a beginner and you are like, my designs don't look good. This is a process. It's an iterative process and you can go ahead and try this method of like, let's try this on for size. Let's try this out and see if it works. So I also did that here with this experience. I tried to make like, instead of having an image, I wanted to remove the background and have a transparent image here. So that's what I tried out here. And I was like, oh, I'm liking this a little bit more. Okay. And then I got more colorful with it. I was like, let's bring in those bright colors to attract that youthful 6 to 8 year old. And then it started to evolve more and more from here. I used this as my final inspiration. All right, so isn't that fun? Isn't it fun to see like the process? And it's not perfect, it's not great, and I'm still like, it's fine. It's not the best design in the world, and that's okay. We can just constantly be improving upon our skills. So let's create this design file. I'm gonna go into A for artboard. I'm bringing in a iPad Pro 11-inch for this screen. And I am going to bring in a big elephant image. I'm going to first select R on my keyboard to bring my rectangle in here. And that's got my nice shape right there. And I am going to find my image, and I already selected this like elephant image that I found from Adobe Stock. This one I was like, feels like you're in Africa and he's so big and friendly. And I was like, I like it. I want to find his friend. And from here, you can see that I'm using some of these shapes. This is kind of a popular thing. And I want to give you a nice little pro tip on this for beginners. You don't have to make these shapes. You can just take them from other people's designs. Yes. So I actually grabbed them from this. And this is something I found on Adobe. I want to show you very quickly here that you can go onto Adobe and you can search for free. So these are completely free. I just searched shapes. And I can look and find some shapes that I like. And if it's a IA, so if it's an Illustrator file, I can download that file. And the really cool thing about this is you can open up any Illustrator, Photoshop, or Photoshop file in Adobe XD. It's very simple to do so. So all I'm going to do is select, let's see. Well, I'm going to pretend this is an Illustrator file. All you need to do is right click, open with Adobe XD, and this Illustrator file is going to open in XD and then you can use it from there. You don't need to have any of these other tools or go in there. And you have all of these amazing, beautiful designs for free. The other thing I will mention is, oh, wrong one, there's my email. The other thing I will mention here is that The subcategory I have here is vectors. So make sure that that is selected so that you have the ability to use those shapes as you want. Okay, cool. So now I've got my shape here. I'm going to grab that shape, bring it in, make them a bit smaller, and bring it in right there. Yee. Okay. And I'm just gonna bring in the same shape, but I'm just gonna like, I don't want it to be exactly the same kind of feel. I want it to have like a little bit of a, it feels like the elephants in the leaves coming out a little bit. That feels good to me. I'm going to put in some colors here. I've already added some earlier today that I wanted to use. So that's why it's going to take me a lot less time than it's going to take you if you're like creating all the colors and the typography from scratch today. So if you ever feel discouraged by seeing how fast I'm working, like I mentioned, it took me, I would say like 3 hours to come up with this design and to create my audio and add everything in there. So don't worry if you ever feel like I'm not able to create something in a fast period of time. And it's taken me 6 years. I'm still, it still takes me a while. So, I'm with you guys. All right, I got my top header piece and I want to bring in my animals. This is my favorite part. So let's bring our endangered animal cards in here. I am going to make a rectangle shape. So hitting R on my keyboard, making the shape that I want to start with. We're going to turn on one of my favorite little features in XD, which is repeat grid over here on the upper right hand corner. So I'm going to just drag my little handle, make that 3 and go down vertically and make that 3. So I have my 9 animal cards. But this is not where I want it to be, right? I want to change the styling of it. So I'm actually going to select this first rectangle. I'm going to drag in. There's a little circle thingy dingy. I don't know what it's called inside. And I'm just going to drag it in to bring the corners in. So it's like a nice rounded, more friendlier shape here. Then from here, I am going to remove, actually I'm going to add my drop shadow. I decided I want to use like kind of a light purpley drop shadow, and the y-axis is 3 and my blur is going to be 8. If you're new with drop shadows, I recommend just like playing around with these numbers and seeing what feels good and looking at examples of how other companies are using colors. Okay, Wade, let me know. Is it corner widget? Yes, is that the name of is that what this is called, corner widget? I don't know, but I'm gonna start using that from here on out. So now from here, I've got my shape, my card, and I wanna bring in my animals. The first thing I wanna do is contain my animal shape into another rectangle. So I'm actually bringing in another rectangle here, and I want it so that my animal never goes past this point because I'm gonna have a title for my cards down here. So I don't want that image to expand down below that. I've already saved all of my animal images here in this folder. And so I'm just gonna take my group of images and I'm gonna show you some magic. If you've never done this before, you take any group of images, come on guy, and I drag it into that first rectangle in a repeat grid, drop it in. It's like boom shakalaka, we're in. We've got all of our photos inside. Feels good. I'm not gonna lie though, like it's not like that simple to bring in images. If you are like, how do I find transparent images? You're a beginner and you're like, am I supposed to like do this on Photoshop? I don't. I certainly do. I can, and I have done it, but one of the easiest things that I do, and this is especially if this is just for a personal project where you don't own these images, I literally search like tiger PNG transparent background, panda, elephant, whatever you're looking for. The interesting thing about Google is like it'll say transparent background, but this is white. You see, it's actually not a transparent background. You might have to like go into the actual website and then download it. But I like to move quickly. So like I just keep on select. If I select this one too, and it has this like checkered background here, my Google search right here, and it's also here, that means that that checkered background is also going to be in your image. So here's my tip. What you want to look for. White background, but when you select it, it actually has that checkered background here when you select it. That's how you know it's actually a transparent image. When people first start working with this, like trying to get a transparent, they're like, wait, why aren't they transparent? It's really irritating. So anytime I want to work with an image, let's bring in a rectangle here, I can literally also go straight from Google and drag and drop that guy in. Now, if that's not where I wanted him, I can double click to get into that particular layer and make it smaller so that it fits that shape. There we go, transparent image. Transparent images for design beginners that I use all the time. That's my tip for you for the day. I feel good about myself. Maybe it's just me, but that was a really cool trick when I learned it. Cool. We got all my images in. Now I want to add my text layer. And I am going to, one thing I'm doing here is like, if I don't have this repeat grid, if I don't have something selected within inside the layers of my repeat grid, and I just try to add some text like this, let's make it dark so you can see. Nothing's happening. It's not affecting my whole repeat grid. So this is another big common challenge people have with the repeat grid. Is like, wait, why isn't it working? I selected repeat grid. You actually have to go into a particular layer within that grid and then turn on text. And now it's affecting all of the groups in your repeat grid, which is what we want. So I'm going to make this like, because that looks crazy. I'm going to make this 24. See how that feels? Maybe I'm going to make it a bit smaller. And I'm going to name him Polar Bear. That's like, that feels pretty decent. Might make it a little bit smaller, might make it a 16, but keep it bold. And again, we talked about with kids, like they're not necessarily reading around 6 to 8 years old. So text isn't as important, let's say, as the imagery. So the images are really big. I'm not as worried about the text. And then I'm gonna put where this little animal lives. We care about these poor animals that are becoming extinct. Like, it kind of makes me want to tear up right now thinking about all these animals and how they potentially might not be on our earth anymore. Like, I've had an emotional week though, I will say, so maybe it's making me extra teary. But that's what we want. We want to emotionally pull those kids in, so they want to make difference. They want to make a difference in the world, right? So I'm going to select this first image and this first background layer, and I'm going to select a color. Now, you're going to notice all the colors changed, right? And so it's kind of a little challenge. You actually have to make that particular layer into a component in order to change the other background layers, and it won't affect everything inside. It won't affect all the other groups within inside this repeat grid. So that's the trick. You have to make that particular layer a component. Okay, feels pretty good. Now I want to show you this piece here, which is a loading, little loading timer. This is coming from a plugin called LottieFiles. And what I'm going to do is just look up 15-minute timer. and I'm able to grab this timer in and bring it in. So that's kind of the timer I decided I want to use. The background layer for this artboard I'm selecting is just gonna be this like light gray. And I'm just gonna bring in my text here so you can kind of see what's happening here. Okay, all right, so my loading symbol, what I want to make sure is over on the right-hand side that it is playing automatically, which it is. So let's play this guy. Ooh, we got some animation, we got some colors. It feels friendly for kids, feels good. And now what I'm gonna show you here is I'm just gonna show you how I've started to do the playback. This screen here is just a rectangle text, and this is also a Lottie that I found from the plugins. So that's this little player right here. But what I want to show you now is that audio playback piece, because this is really important for the kids' app experience, because they're not reading as much, they are listening, and they're listening for their cues. So we want to make sure visually it's very stimulating, and as well as auditorily. Maybe someone could correct me in the chat. Auditoria. So first thing I'm doing here is when they land on the page, I want it to immediately speak to them. They can already understand something's happening. I also really want them to be aware of that progress that's happening. They have 15 seconds to find that elephant match. By the way, I didn't even include my elephant in here. Oopsie. That would be really hard, 15 seconds. Oh no, he is here. My elephant is here. There he is. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into prototyping mode, and I am going to, instead of dragging this anywhere else, any other artboard, I'm just double clicking. That means it's going nowhere. I'm going to move this so you can tell what's happening. This is going nowhere. Double click. My trigger is now going to be time, and there's going to be no delay. I want some audio to automatically happen right when they enter this artboard. Then from there, the action type is audio playback. Here I can add any audio file. This is something I recorded on my computer. You can record something on your phone, or you can just find any type of audio file you want to use. It can be music. It could be someone else making some sort of sound effect that you want to use. Whatever it is, feel free. Like there's a lot of resources out there for free. I think one of them is Sound Bible for free sounds. Wade said auditorily. Oh, okay. He helped me out. Auditorily. Hard word for me to say. So this one is going to be, I recorded it to my elephant sound. So if I play it, let's see if we can hear it.
You have 15 seconds to find my friend.
I used to do voiceover work. So, if you're like, how'd she get her voice to sound so good? Or you're like, that was awful, whichever way. I used to do voiceover work before back in the day. So I'm kind of used to recording myself. So now what's going to happen is Mr. Elephant is going to be selected, and it's going to go to this screen. And this is just going to be a basic trigger type, which is tap, and it's going to have no animation. It's just simply going to go from this screen to this screen. But one of the things I wanted to make sure is it's like very apparent that that kid got it right. Right away, they see that beautiful star. They're like, yeah, you got it. They're feeling excited. Woohoo. And they're also hearing me say, yeah, you got it. So this one also, I'm just double clicking. The trigger is going to be time. And this time I still have audio playback. This time I'm going to use my, yay, you got it sound effect. So let's play it.
You have 15 seconds to find my friend.
All right, better find which one is it? Oh, I don't know. This looks like it could be him.
Yay, you got it.
Okay. You guys, can you tell I had a fun time with this one? I really did. I hope you guys find a experience or think about some sort of storytelling that excites you when you're creating this type of kids app experience. I really just The only thing I can ask you to do is try and have fun with this, play with it, and try to enjoy creating some of these fun sound effects and using bright colors and imagery and really thinking about creating an experience that kids would enjoy. So if you are designing alongside with me and you're ready to get some feedback, please join us in the Discord community, and that is just in the description below alongside this design file that I've created, so you can take a look at that as well. So in Discord, you're able to get feedback from mentors, give feedback to the community, see what other people are designing, which is really fun. And so I hope to see your guys' designs over there. All right, wishing you guys all the best. Happy Friday and happy rest of your weekend. And I'm excited to see what you guys do. All right, bye.